It all started when I was in high school. My friends and I were always looking for something new, something exciting. We loved stories about creepy stuff like urban legends and strange websites. We spent hours on Reddit and 4chan, reading about weird things we could never imagine happening. It was fun to dive into these dark stories. Everyone in school talked about the deep web, and I couldn't help but get curious. It seemed like a forbidden world, and the more we heard about it, the more we wanted to see it for ourselves. None of us had any idea what we were getting into. We were just kids who thought we could handle anything. We had high-speed internet and no one was watching us. We thought we were invincible. The idea of exploring a place like the deep web seemed like the ultimate adventure. But we didn't want to use our personal devices. Who knew what we might get into? So we pooled some money together and bought an old second-hand laptop. We weren't exactly tech experts, but we figured we could figure it out. One night, I finally decided to take the plunge. I didn't want to wait for everyone else. I downloaded the special browser I needed to get on the deep web and started looking for links. It wasn't as easy as I thought. There were so many dead links, websites that didn't even load. I spent hours just trying to find something interesting, but then, after a long time, I finally clicked on something that seemed different. It was a marketplace, but not like anything I had seen before. At first, I didn't believe it. It felt like a fake, a joke. But the more I looked, the more real it seemed. There were things for sale on this site that I couldn't even begin to explain. Drugs, weapons, fake IDs, the list went on. I didn't know whether to laugh or feel scared. It was like I had stumbled into a world I wasn't supposed to see, but I couldn't stop. The temptation was too strong. I clicked through the pages, trying to see more of what this place was really about. As days passed, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were in way too deep, but the excitement kept pulling me back. I started sharing what I found with my friends. They were just as curious, maybe even more so. We started making plans to explore more, to see how far we could go. Every time we found a new link, it felt like we were uncovering secrets, things no one was supposed to know. We weren't just messing around anymore. This was real. One of the first sites we came across was a forum for hitmen. At first, I didn't believe it was real. How could it be? Who would actually hire a killer on the internet? But the more we dug into it, the more details we found. People were talking about jobs, about money, about how they could take care of things for the right price. I kept wondering if it was just role-playing or some kind of sick joke, but something about it felt so real. We weren't stupid. We didn't get involved in anything illegal, but we did start to play with the idea of contacting some of these people. What would happen if we sent a message? What if we asked them about their services? We thought we were just messing around, that nothing serious could happen. But the deeper we went, the more we realized we were in dangerous territory. There was a real feeling of unease, like we were opening doors we couldn't close. But one night, something strange happened. I logged into one of the forums and saw something I hadn't noticed before. A small blue bubble appeared in the corner of my screen. It was so small I almost missed it. I thought it was just part of the website, but it didn't go away. No matter what I did, it stayed there, silently watching me. At first I didn't think much of it, but then, after a few days, I started to feel paranoid, like someone was watching me. I wasn't the only one who noticed it. My friends started to ask about it too. We all thought it was just a glitch, but the longer it stayed, the more it bothered us. The idea that someone, or something, was tracking us, following our every move, felt like a nightmare. We hadn't done anything illegal, but something about that bubble made me think we had attracted attention, and that was the last thing I wanted. The longer the bubble stayed on my screen, the more paranoid I became. It was like it was always there, reminding me that we weren't alone. I tried everything to get rid of it. Restarting the computer, clearing the cache, even running antivirus scans, but it wouldn't disappear. It started to feel like I was being watched, like someone was right behind me, just waiting for me to slip up. One night, as I was scrolling through another dark web forum, the bubble finally disappeared. I thought it was over. Maybe it was a glitch after all, but the relief didn't last long. The next day I logged in to find a message waiting for me. It wasn't from anyone on the forum. It was from a new user, someone I didn't recognize. The message was short but chilling. "I've been watching you. I know what you've been doing." I froze. My heart pounded in my chest. I couldn't believe what I was reading. How did they know? What did they want? I thought it was some kind of joke, but the message didn't stop there. It went on to detail everything I had been doing, the sites I visited, the links I clicked, even the time I spent on each page. It was impossible. There was no way anyone could know all of that, except someone was watching me. The message told me that I had attracted the wrong kind of attention. It warned me that if I didn't stop, I would regret it. It was like a threat, but it wasn't just words. The fact that they knew so much about me made it feel real. My whole body went cold. I didn't know what to do. I tried to ignore it, but every time I thought about the message, I felt like I was suffocating. I had to tell my friends, so I did. We all met up the next day and discussed what had happened. Everyone was freaked out, but we were too scared to call anyone. We didn't want to get involved with the wrong people or get the police in our lives. So we did the only thing we could think of. We shut down the laptop, erased everything, and promised never to go back to the dark web. But the damage was already done. For weeks after that, I kept feeling like someone was watching me. Every knock on the door, every unfamiliar car parked down the street made my heart race. I couldn't escape the feeling that we had stirred up something dangerous. The deep web wasn't a game. It was real, and it could reach into your life in ways you couldn't control. I learned that the hard way, and I'll never forget the lesson. I was never proud of it, but I was a heavy drug user. Weed, pills, whatever I could get my hands on. The high was the only thing that made me feel like I wasn't drowning. But things started to get complicated. My usual sources ran dry, and I couldn't find the stuff I needed anywhere in my city. That's when a college friend mentioned something that caught my attention. Something called the dark web. I had heard of it, of course. Everyone had. But I never thought I'd actually go there. The idea of buying drugs online seemed ridiculous. But desperation changes people, and my friend showed me how easy it was. He downloaded this special browser called Tor, which would let us access the dark web. He even gave me a list of links where I could buy anything I wanted. At first, I didn't believe it was real, but when he showed me how easy it was, I started to think maybe it wasn't such a bad idea after all. I wasn't scared, at least not at first. The idea of being able to get whatever I needed without leaving my apartment was tempting. The dark web seemed like this hidden world, one where anything was possible, and I could get away with things I couldn't do in the real world. So I set up everything, followed my friend's instructions, and dove in. The first site I came across was simple enough, a marketplace that sold everything from weed to harder stuff. I could get anything, and it was just a few clicks away. It felt like a game at first. I spent hours browsing, looking at the products, comparing prices, and feeling like I was a part of something secret. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't understand how it worked, but I knew I wanted in. The more I explored, the more I realized that this was a whole other world, one that wasn't just about buying and selling drugs. There were other people on there too, people who did things I couldn't even imagine. I didn't care. I just wanted to score. After getting comfortable on the dark web, I quickly realized just how much I could get away with. The first transaction I made was for a few grams of weed, nothing too crazy. The website made it so easy. I paid with Bitcoin, and within days my package arrived at my door. It felt like I was living in some spy movie, just me and the internet, making deals, waiting for the next high. But as I got deeper into the dark web, I started to explore more. It wasn't just about buying weed anymore. There were all sorts of strange things being sold. I found drugs I'd never even heard of. There were even people selling drugs made from exotic plants, some of them promising more intense highs than anything I'd ever tried. The temptation was too much to ignore. I started buying more pills, more powders. The drugs became a routine, a way to escape the mess that was my life. But it wasn't just about the drugs anymore. The dark web started to change me. I began to notice something strange. There was a specific marketplace where people didn't just sell drugs. They sold services. Things that made me feel uneasy, like hacking tools, fake IDs, and worse. I started seeing posts about things I couldn't unsee. People offering to take care of business for others, sometimes with a price tag attached. These posts had a dark tone to them. And they weren't just talking about selling a product. They were talking about people, their lives, and how much it would cost to erase them. I told myself it was just talk, that it wasn't real. It couldn't be real. But the deeper I went, the more I started to wonder. I felt like I was part of something bigger, something dangerous. It wasn't just about drugs anymore. It was about something I didn't fully understand, and it was pulling me in. One night I was browsing through a new site when something unexpected happened. A message popped up on my screen. It was from someone who had noticed me, someone who had been watching my activity. The message was simple but unsettling. You've been using these sites for a while. You're not as invisible as you think. I froze. My heart started to race. Who was this person? How did they know what I'd been doing? The message felt like a warning, like someone was watching my every move. I tried to shake it off, but the feeling didn't go away. It wasn't just paranoia, it was real. Someone was tracking me. I tried to forget about the message, but it kept eating at me. The idea that someone had been watching me, tracking my every move on the dark web, made me feel like I was in too deep. I'd made some bad choices, sure, but I never thought I'd attract the attention of someone dangerous. It was just a website, right? But the message kept replaying in my mind. You're not as invisible as you think. Days passed, but the unease didn't leave. I kept checking my computer, scanning for anything strange. It was like I was waiting for something to happen. But nothing did, and for a while, I convinced myself it was all just in my head. Maybe the person was just some hacker messing with me. Maybe it wasn't real. But I couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't over. Then one evening, I got home from work to find a strange package on my doorstep. It wasn't the usual kind of delivery. This one was wrapped in plain brown paper, no label, no return address. I stared at it for a moment, unsure of what to do. My gut told me not to open it, but curiosity won out. I ripped open the paper, and inside there was a small envelope. I hesitated, but I opened it anyway. Inside the envelope was a single piece of paper with one short sentence written in dark red ink. We know what you've been doing. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't some random scam. Someone knew. They knew everything. Every website I had visited, every transaction I had made, every purchase I'd ever ordered. I thought I had been careful, thought I was hidden, but I was wrong. I was exposed. The message was clear. I had crossed a line, and now there were consequences. I felt a pit in my stomach as I realized just how far I had gone and how dangerous the dark web really was. It wasn't just a place to buy drugs. It was a place where you could disappear, where you could lose everything. And it was a place where people watched, waiting for the right moment to make their move. The next few days felt like a blur. I didn't leave the house much. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching me. Every knock on the door, every car passing by made my heart race. I was in too deep, and now I was paying the price. I didn't know who had sent the message or what they wanted from me, but I knew one thing. I needed to get out. I couldn't go back to the dark web, not after what happened. I threw out my computer, erased everything I could, and vowed never to touch the dark web again. But the feeling of being watched never left. It was a reminder that once you step into that world, you can never really leave. The dark web isn't just a place on the internet. It's a place that finds a way into your life. And if you're not careful, it'll consume you. When this happened, I was just a dumb 20-year-old completely addicted to online games. At the time, my laptop had broken, so I took my brother's without permission. I was desperately searching for some new gaming sites, and that's when I stumbled across a site that seemed too good to be true. This was long before Facebook even crossed my mind. The site looked cool, but I quickly realized it was full of bugs, and the security was questionable at best. I should have known better, but back then I wasn't exactly the sharpest tool in the shed. One afternoon, bored out of my mind, I decided to use my brother's computer again, searching for something to pass the time. I typed cool games into the search bar, hoping for something new. The results were the usual suspects. But then something strange popped up in the top right corner of my screen. A banner that simply read, "Death Game." At first I shrugged it off, thinking it was just another annoying ad, but for some reason this one felt different. It appeared so suddenly, almost like it was calling out to me. With my twisted curiosity, I clicked on it. The screen went blank for a moment, then suddenly flashed to life with bold, dripping red text. "Hello, do you want to watch someone die?" Click the submit button to continue. My heart skipped a beat. I nearly burst out laughing, thinking it was some stupid prank site, but the more I stared at the screen, the more it felt wrong. The words on the page flickered as if mocking me. "Scared? Don't be. It's just a game. Don't be shy. Click the button now." I sighed, shaking my head. What the heck, right? I clicked the button, expecting nothing more than a cheesy jump scare or some silly game. What happened next wasn't what I expected. The animation was awful. 3 cartoonish characters straight out of a bad kid's show, 2 men wearing bandit masks and striped shirts, and a woman trembling in a chair, looking like she was about to have a panic attack. I almost laughed, but then one of the men turned his head. His smile was wrong. He locked eyes with me, and then, in a distorted voice, he asked, "Do you want to see her die?" A chilling choice appeared, yes or no. I hesitated, but the man spoke again, sounding more impatient. "You clicked the link. You know you want to see what happens next. Just do it." Before I knew it, my finger was pressing the yes button. The animation continued, and I felt my stomach churn. One of the men walked to the back, put on a butcher's apron, and reappeared beside an operating table, all set up with gruesome tools. The next scene still haunts me. The man started using a hacksaw on the woman. Her screams were terrifying, so real I could feel the tension building in my chest. The sound effects were disturbingly accurate. The sawing through bone, the gurgling, the muffled screams that slowly faded. I almost couldn't believe how well done the sounds were. But the animation still sucked. I was shaking now, but I couldn't look away. Then the words appeared. "Did you like it? Want to see something better?" With a sick curiosity, I clicked yes again. The next animation was even worse. The 2 men were now in scuba gear, and instead of the woman, they had a man in an executive suit. He was tied up, standing at the edge of a large pond. One of the men held up a sign that said, "Do you want to watch him die?" Again, I clicked yes. This time the animation was more unsettling. The man in the suit screamed as the other diver dragged him into the water, kicking and struggling. The sound effects again were so realistic. His desperate cries, the gurgling, the splash as he was thrown into the water. For a long moment I thought it was over, but then the man resurfaced. His arms were gone. They looked like they had been shredded, not severed. Suddenly the screen went black. Then an alligator appeared, dragging him back under, and the man never resurfaced. The horror of it all was starting to weigh on me. I didn't want to watch anymore, but a part of me, some sick part of me, wanted to see just how far this game would go. Then something even worse happened. The screen flickered, and it wasn't cartoons anymore. The men were real, people wearing white masks, standing near a dismembered body. One of them held a hook with a torn, blood-soaked business suit. The voice, still distorted, came through. "Wasn't it fun to see those? You wanted more, and now you'll get it. But remember, we did it for you. Now it's your turn." My blood ran cold. 3 new options appeared. Yes, I want to experiment. No, I don't want to experiment. And I want to meet you. I clicked no in a panic. The screen went black. Then the voice came again, this time more sinister. "What's wrong? Don't you want to have fun? You watched us and now you're going to leave? Choose wisely." I felt like I was suffocating, but somehow I managed to exit the site. I quickly checked the browser history, but it was gone, vanished. There was nothing left. My heart pounded in my chest, and I swear I could feel the panic in my bones. My brother arrived shortly after, and I told him everything. He immediately shut off the computer, scolding me for using his device without permission. His expression turned serious when I mentioned the site. "That wasn't just a game," he said. "That was from the deep web." I had no idea what he meant, but he explained that the deep web was an entirely different, dangerous world, and people like that, they weren't playing games. My brother blocked the site and made sure my computer wasn't hacked, but the fear lingered long after.